Welcome to In Her Shoes. I'm Suzi Dafnis. My guest today is Annie Crawford, founder of Can2, an organisation that combines fitness with a good cause. Can2 trains non-athletes to compete in endurance events while they raise funds for cancer research. Since 2005, Can2 has trained over 3,000 people and raised $4 million through its powerful programs. Annie, welcome to the program.
Thanks a lot, Suzi.
Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about the good work that you do at Can2.
Well, basically at Can2, we train people, as you said, that are potentially non-runners or non-swimmers, right through to people that might be quite good runners or swimmers, to achieve a goal that they never imagined they could achieve. And usually that's to run a marathon, a half marathon, a 9K, or swim in an ocean swim. And at the same time, in return for the professional coaching and being part of the Can2 team, they raise money for the Cure Cancer Australia Foundation, which funds young, bright, innovative Australian researchers.
Just stepping back, your business experience, you come from a solid business experience. You and your husband had a successful business in the United States. How did that experience help any challenges that you may have had in growing this organisation? Well,
it's interesting in a way. I sort of see myself as having another life before a business experience. I was a social worker and worked in sexual assault, and that was my initial career path. And then when we moved to the States, I moved to Switzerland rather, I taught there. And then when we moved to the States, I did human resources. And then that's when I became involved in setting up Actelion with my husband, who had a strong career background, strong business background as well, although he's interestingly was a vet to start off with as well. So I think, look, I learned a lot because what I learned that it's okay to take a risk. I mean, obviously for me, it was a huge risk being involved in starting up an affiliate of a biotech company with not a lot of experience in that area. But what I learned was that if you're willing to take a risk and realising that it's okay to be scared, and that if you have the wherewithal and the knowledge to know what you don't know, and to be able to do the research that you need to get that knowledge, or to know where to seek advice, then you basically can be really successful. So you don't have to know everything up front.
So you started Can2, and now it's how many, 6 years?
Yeah, six
years down the line. What I've heard is that the transformation that people experience when they participate in one of the programs goes beyond the physical, beyond shedding a few kilos and doing a race. What happens to people as they get involved in your programs?
Well, I think you're totally right. It's beyond the physical. If it was just about running or swimming, I would have been bored long ago and would have sort of moved on. But it's about this personal transformation, and we have people that join Can2 for a whole lot of different reasons. So that they'll come along to, as you say, to get fit, to shed a few kilos, or because their mother has died of cancer, or because they don't know many people in Sydney and they want to make friends. So they may turn up thinking they're just going to learn to run or swim and to achieve that goal. But what happens is this personal transformation, because in doing that, you learn so much about yourself. There's so many highs and lows in a training program. If you're out there doing an 18K run, for example, there's a lot of self-talk that goes on. So there's a lot of confronting fears. There's a lot of facing the things about yourself that you don't like. And so in terms of that sort of personal transformation, people then realise that, okay, now I've got the skills to do that. I can then go on and do something else. I can go on and do my masters that I never believed I could do. We have people that have left their corporate jobs after 20 years and decided to go and teach swimming, or to go and work for a not-for-profit, or do a whole lot of different things like that. So that's what I find fascinating, and it drives me to keep going. I'll give you another example. The other day when I was out running with this woman who was doing the 18K run, and she kept stopping and she was crying. And this is a very capable woman. She's a journalist. She said, I come from a belief that I'm not athletic, I can't do exercise. So it sounds sort of trite in one way, but it's this whole belief system that you've got to shed. And in doing that, you're able to shed other negative belief systems that you have about yourself. We had this other man who, he's actually head of a corporation that trains executives. So, very competent once again, but had panic attacks. He'd lived in DY his whole life. He'd lived by the beach. but never gone in an ocean swim, had panic attacks during the program, but was able to work through that. And then, so it's more than just about that swim. It's a whole lot of stuff, and that's why it's so engaging, I guess.
Talking about engaging, I've seen the Can2 members in races, and they're pretty hard to miss. They're pretty hard to miss, but what I notice is an incredible camaraderie between them. How do you get them to engage in that way?
Look, basically, I sort of come from the philosophy that people are going to respond much more if you have a really positive, fun, nurturing environment. So I make a conscious decision that every time I go to a training session, I'm sort of upbeat, I'm smiling, I'm friendly, I try to welcome everybody. I talk to everyone as though I know them, even though obviously now I can't. But I feel like they're my babies anyway, so it's sort of easy. But what I think that does is that it makes other people, it breaks down those other barriers for other people, so they realise, well, we can all start talking and being friendly. And then we also, we now have team captains and mentors in place. And what we teach people to do is that they need to support each other. So we'll get out there and start, cheering them on in the beginning and saying, wow, well done. And what will happen is the team starts doing it themselves. And that's such a great thing. So I think that I really believe that attitude's contagious. So if you go in a nurturing, supportive, fun way, people take it on board. They really want to break down that whole sort of, they want to be themselves, and a lot of them want to be able to support others in a way that they've never been able to before, and so it sort of is self-fulfilling. It just takes on a momentum of its own.
It does take incredible leadership, and I imagine that is one of your strengths. So I'm going to ask you a question from that point of view, and that is for other women who are looking to lead a movement or an organisation, a couple of pieces of advice.
Oh, I think the first one would be prepared to take a risk. Like, you're not going to die of fear. And seriously, I've learnt that. I've learnt to move beyond my own comfort zones and face my own fears and be really reflective about them. And seriously, say to yourself, look, it's okay. You can either live a half a life and not achieve anything, or you can take a risk, be prepared to fail, but know that you're going to have at least given it a go. I also think it's really important that you're prepared to work hard. Obviously, it goes without saying, if you're doing your own business or anything you're trying to grow, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to be prepared to do the drudgery work as well as the fun stuff, and then the rewards will be, you'll reap the rewards. And I also think. My final point's gone, but I had another point that I wanted to say, which I've totally forgotten.
All right, well, it might just come back to you before we finish up. I know you have a goal this year to raise another $2.5 million.
Yes.
And so we want to help you do that by encouraging people to go to the website.
Absolutely.
And see what events you have coming up. And wish you every success. Congratulations on the work you've done. Thank you for joining us. Do you have that last point?
No, it's gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Annie.
It's a pleasure.